ain't got it. They ain't got it.
I like that.
There we go.
I like that.
That's the way you come in, man. All right. All right, Commish Radio Show back again at Beverly Hills Cop theme, man. You know, that's the way we roll here on the Commish Radio Show. What do you think about that, Chief?
I like
Mr.
it.
President?
I mean, it's classic. Let's keep it classic.
Yeah, that's the way it is. You know, that's the way alpha men do things. So.
Richard Pryor, now Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like it.
Wait till I get to Dave Chappelle.
Oh, now you're gonna hit us hard.
By the way, seemed like the Kappas are listening in, man. Chaplain Ray Shuford is listening in from.
Well, you know, Ray is an alpha.
Now, wait a minute. I have Ray is wait a minute. He's an alpha. That's right. We're so excited about that, Fred. Man, okay.
He may want to be.
No, because he said Sheldon, my man, it threw me off. Sorry about that, Fred. Sorry about that. But anyway, yeah. But yeah, that's what he said.
He's my good friend, though.
Yeah.
Ray is for
Yeah,
years.
I ain't gonna never live that down there with my friend now, calling him out. Ooh, why did I do that, man? I need to be put in jail now for that, for that in itself. But we were talking about excellence in policing, and during the break, Strip had a question. I want to make sure Strip got that in.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, because it seems like during certain times of the week or the month, more people I see are getting stopped and pulled over. Is there such thing as a quota?
No, but I will say this. I know that's a legend or a myth, whatever you want to call it.
Urban myth.
Urban myth. That's what it is. But I'll tell you where we are in policing. It goes back to the greater. Let me go big picture with you just a bit. There is that conception. There is that people think that there's a quota. But here's where we are in policing again, right? If we're going to be smart and go from here and be better, be excellent. I think we need to get away from the numbers-driven policing to quality-driven policing. And so it's not all about the numbers. For a little while, we really focused, and you know this, Sheldon, because we had the same. We worked. It was all about the numbers, and that's a dangerous thing to do when you just focus merely on numbers. You forget about the quality of each encounter. And so, what you're saying is, we get it. We know people think that, and they see us out there. But part of that is, as a police leader, we both are, we need to ask ourselves, are we numbers driven or are we quality driven? And I think today we need to be quality driven. And I think to me, that's what you're saying. And I think that's where
and like the wordage and the verbiage as well. So you're saying there aren't police chiefs telling their cops when they come in and clock in for the day, hey, you only pulled over 3 people last week, so come on.
No, but I'll tell you, we expect our police officers to be productive. See, that's different. I mean,
Right.
productive is good, but quality, right? Mm-hmm. Make sure you're productive, but you're doing quality, not just for the sake of numbers. That's a bad practice.
All right. Some of the actual traffic stops, when you have officers in particular areas, are driven by complaints from the community. They'll make phone calls to the police department, and they'll be complaining that cars are going too fast down the street. So we're automatically going to send officers into that area.
Okay, so that's like a class type thing, isn't it? What I mean by that, if you have a community in which we say, well, we don't want to see no Impalas rolling down the street. So anytime you see an Impala, I know they up to no good, so they can do that over in Oak Cliff. But where I live at, in the Bishop Arts District, or some part of the Bishop Arts District, I don't want to see that. So anytime you drive down that street, you know you get ready to get stopped.
Well, no, the complaint, it's not like that.
That's why we're having this conversation.
Right, it's definitely not like that.
Because I'm talking for the folks back there who
may think that.
Yeah. Well, hold on, let me answer the question.
Yeah.
You're getting all enthused too. I mean, I should have like a forum like this going on.
Yeah, sometimes we do that traffic enforcement in areas that have high accidents. Sometimes we put that because the citizens that have kids that walk across the street, and we don't want anybody to get hurt. So the enforcement, generally, when you see a police officer, what do?
But it goes back also. Yeah, it goes back also to us, right? Are we acting, if we're doing this in the best interest of community, right? So if it's listen, there's a lot of accidents here, and there are legitimate reasons we have increased enforcement in certain areas. We want people to be safe, people running red lights and T-boning people and people getting really seriously injured. That's a legitimate concern. We want to, change behavior when it comes to that. When it's something like that, when we're acting in the best interest of community, then that's a good thing. But it's when those concerns and we're targeting a community because in our world, well, there's a lot of crime there, and so we need to beef up our traffic enforcement, which is not a bad thing in itself. We just need to make sure that we're doing it in the right context, in the right spirit, and working in the best interest of community. I think that I'm going to stress that because I really believe
Yeah, and officers need to be articulate to be able to explain that to you when you're driving your Chevy down the road and you think you're being stopped because of Chevy. But in reality, maybe are you going fast, or if you're not going fast, then you just need to be able to articulate that, but in that same calm manner, as if that you deserve that respect.
I, for one, and I'm going to say this before I give it over to Jesse. I don't understand this deal about. I'm not young enough to do this. Maybe Strip can explain the Impalas and everything. I don't want to ride in a police car. No offense, you guys can do that all day long.
Right.
But I don't want to ride in a police car, so I'm not going to buy a car that looks like a police car.
I mean,
I don't know.
There are a lot of things that the young generation does that I don't particularly understand, but I've having the
my
privilege
objective is not to ride in one of your cars.
I've seen
I don't
some
even want to do a police ride there.
they've converted those cars and they look good. Some of them actually do, and some of them are. I mean, when they sell those cars, they're high mileage, and I know they've been taken to the max. And I wouldn't buy one personally, but there's some people that they love driving. So.
But goes
To each
back.
his own.
Listen, you should be able to buy any kind of car and enjoy it and ride anywhere you want and you be you. It's up to us to really make sure that we're doing it in the right spirit.
But
Right.
but some cars are like distinctively known as these are black folk in this car. You know it. You know it. So if you have a cop that they may not be cool like you, or and they go like, yeah, let's see what's going on. I know he up to something, And then when you get to stop, it's like, I ain't did nothing. That's what people say. I ain't did nothing. He said, yeah, but before this encounter's over with, we'll see. Go ahead, Jesse.
Hey, my question is back on the police stops. So since you said you're not interested in numbers anymore, and it's all about quality, are you relaying this to the cops? And if you are, how are the message going to the cops? And we're not talking about just numbers anymore. We're talking about quality stops.
Well, I mean, I'm a police chief in Palestine, Texas, and what we have decided, the message that I have for my officers is exactly that. We don't want numbers for the sake of numbers. We want you to be productive, but we want to make sure that you're treating everybody with fairness, dignity, and respect. They hear me say that all of the time. Every time I interact, they probably get tired of hearing it because I say it all the time because I want them to know what we value are fairness, dignity, and respect in every encounter. And for me, that's a better way of policing. Listen, when we give officers a number, especially if we give them any kind of number, they're probably gonna barely make that number. But if we tell them we want quality, go out there and do the right thing, they're gonna give you a good, solid number anyway, so it's not gonna bring down their productivity. We don't want officers not doing anything out there.
Right.
Their job is to look and observe, and if they see violations and that kind of thing, that's doing their job, and that's a good thing. Again, it's right here and it's right here. If you can't see me, it's your mind and it's your heart. That's the way to do it.
And I'll talk to that point. I was at a 4-way stop yesterday in Hutchins, Texas, and just order, is first person there, he goes in, the next person goes, and the next person goes. So the next person to have went would have been the police officer. And I looked at him and waved him through because it was just order. It was his turn to go. And he said no, he wanted me to go first. I didn't take it as that he wanted me to go because that was a bad thing. He wanted me to go because he was doing what you said.
A courtesy to the citizen.
Right, and observing the traffic flows of how things went in that area. I'm here making an observation. That's all I'm doing at that particular point.
And I might add this: in the city of Dallas, we're so call driven now that I would gather if you actually looked at our traffic stops, you would find it's probably a reduction in our traffic stops overall. And then, if we're gonna talk about traffic stops as far as the community is concerned, what is the reason for traffic stops? You know, it's always a safety thing to me. For example, if you get a green light in Dallas, yeah, you can go, but you really want to make sure that you look left and you look right before you enter the intersection. And there's a reason for that. People are getting T-boned. Just take a moment. If you're listening to this show, just take a moment and do what I just said, and watch it and see exactly how many cars are running red lights. Now, yeah, we can write tickets for that, but the ticket is inconsequential as compared to it being T-boned by a car going 40, 50 miles an hour. So it's more, for me, it's more of a safety thing. But, you know, the traffic stops in Dallas have been reduced.
Well, let me go ahead and ask you a question. You're the president of the Dallas chapter of the National Black Police Association. Could you explain what the National Black Police Association is?
We like to be the liaison between the community and the police department. We're justice seekers. We want to make sure that people are treated fairly. We want to educate the community. We want to do anything we can to help the community. And sometimes we are the actual group that says, no, the police department is right in this instance. You know, we'll stand for justice. And so that's what we strive to do.
I've seen that you've reposted, as well as Chief Harvey has reposted on my Twitter feeds and everything. I've been telling the truth about the police, and sometimes it's not pretty. And then when I see you retweet it, I said, wow.
Yeah, I mean, we have to be honest.
That's right.
You know, at the end of the day, unless we are honest, then we lose our credibility. You know, I would be amiss to say that we live in a perfect world, a perfect police world, and we don't. And if we're not doing our job correctly, that needs to be pointed out. That needs to be shared so it doesn't happen again. You know, and it goes vice versa. You know, I retweet every time a police officer gets killed, you know, or injured, you know, or does a good deed. You know, so I can't be afraid. If I'm going to talk about the good, I have to talk about the bad.
That's right.
Now, you're on Twitter, what's your handle?
MVP8 Dallas Press, and then Sheldon H. Smith 1.
And you have the icon of what, Ali, right?
Yes, Muhammad Ali.
Why you have icon of Ali?
Great man. He's a great man. His life chronicles a history that should be followed by a lot of men. You know, he's been on top of the world, on the bottom of the world, and he rose and became a champion again. He led by example, and he stood up for things that were not popular, but he wasn't afraid to do it. That's being a real man.
Chief, you on?
Oh yeah, I love Twitter.
You on Twitter?
Oh yeah.
Instagram? You on Instagram? You
No,
on-
not yet. I'm not there yet.
I got to get with my son,
Yeah.
so I can reach that level. Yeah, you know, so
Yeah.
I'm an older guy. I know.
I'm older guy. I'm older than you, man.
Oh, you're on it. So mine's Chief Harvey PPD.
You on Instagram too?
No, I'm not. I'm on Twitter only.
Twitter,
and LinkedIn.
okay.
Those are my go-to
Okay.
social media networks. But I'm not as cool as you, Greg.
Well,
I'm
that's
not there
true.
yet.
That's true. That's true. But one could only hope. Okay, speaking of.